On the blackest nights we sail through fog, two voices echo from the salty bog, with tales of movies and actors bold. Host Josh and Jillian, their stories unfold. Hold fast the wheel, listen to the drive, the Blank Podcast where legends vibe. From silver screens to haunted dreams, in Josh and Jillian's twisted schemes. Brought to you by Anchor Bay Entertainment. Now here's your hosts, Josh and Jillian. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Welcome back to The Plank. I'm your host, Jillian.
And I'm your host, Josh.
Josh, what movies did you see this week?
I saw Long Legs.
You
Finally.
did? I did too.
Really?
What did you think? Same.
Well, I like the style. I like how it was disturbing. It
Yeah.
was creepy. It was creepy.
Yeah.
I don't need a jump scare. I like those A24 type horror movies where, you know, it's just kind of like it's a lot about the ambiance, I really liked when it was in it was like flashback and it was kind of shot in a what is it, the 4x3 kind of like framing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to give anything away. I'm not here to spoil it for people, but you know, the ending kind of wrapped up a little strange for me.
I agree. I feel like there was a lot of holes in the like things I just wanted explained a little bit more.
That's what happens when movies kind of sacrifice, like I was talking about earlier, when a movie kind of you know, it has that opening that creeps you out and has you asking all these questions, but then you risk running into this exposition part in the middle or the end, and I kind of think that's where Long Legs went. And what's crazy though is when they started explaining things, I could see that there was a better movie in there, a draft or something, needed a rewrite.
Yeah.
But then it would have been a page one rewrite because I think some of that stuff should have been told earlier and this and that.
No, I agree. And I think the fact that it was Nick Cage, like at least the theater I was in, like they would just like kind of giggle when he was on. So it kind of like lightened it a bit, which was nice in some parts when I was just like, God, this is a lot. And then I almost wish that it wasn't Nick Cage at some parts because I'm like, oh, this would actually really, really freaking creep me out
if it wasn't. He his character, like the look, like the way he dressed and and painted his face and everything. I guess that was his choice, and I think he based it off of his mom.
Oh, interesting.
I read that somewhere or heard it somewhere, and he kind of reminded me of Celia Weston. Do you know that actress? Mm-mm. She was like in Flirting with Disaster. And
what's your Letterboxd review? How many stars?
How many stars is Letterboxd? 5? 4? 4 out of 5? Out of 4?
Peanut Gallery?
3?
Anyone? Can someone? No one knows?
I don't know. I gave it 3.5. I give everything 3.5 when it's okay.
Out of 4? I feel
out
like we should
5.
check. Out of 5.
4, it'd be like a 2, 3. It'd be a 3 out of 4. No, 2.5. Anyway.
2.5 out of 4, 3.5 out of 5. I agree. I agree. I think it was like out of 5, it would be like a 3.5 for me. I definitely walked out of it being like, well, I didn't hate it, which means that I must have liked it. That's at least a 3.
I want to see Cuckoo still and Strange Darlings. That's what I'm gonna.
I want to see Cuckoo. I want to see Blink Twice.
Yeah. Yeah, Blink Twice.
Yeah, I want to see that. Did you see? You didn't see Trap.
I did not see Trap.
I thought Trap was silly.
I didn't want to see Trap, but you thought it was what?
Silly.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard things.
My roommate, who's a filmmaker, loved it. Was like, oh, this is sick. Like, it's super cool. But, like, he's very much, like, when he's watching a movie, it's very much, like, how was it shot? And, like, you know, logistically, how did they do it? And that was really impressive, like, being in that arena. But I, coming from the actor's perspective, just, like, mainly focus on, like, the dialogue and, like, the plot and, like, how it progresses and all that stuff. And I was just like, this is silly.
I mean, I try to pay attention to all of it. Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
you should as a director.
I guess if you can get it all together, then you're cooking with oil, as they would say.
Yeah. We should see Cuckoo.
Well, I'll see Cuckoo with you.
Okay.
Let's go.
Didn't you wanted to introduce something about the set?
Anselmo.
Who?
Oh. I was going to do this during our introduction, but I can do it now. Anselmo, my friend. So.
What do you mean?
I mean, this is Anselmo, my friend.
What do you?
This is my friend's ashes. I don't know. I kind of feel bad. I wanted to bring them
Why
up.
do you have your friend's ashes?
Because
on
I
our
don't really know
podcast?
what to do with them.
So you brought him here?
I bring them everywhere.
And this is what you wanted to bring to our set? Was your friend?
I mean,
Why is he in 2?
he's in 2 because these are small. These are like small deli cups. These are like for soup at Ralph's or something. Like, you could look at this.
soup.
You could look at this in a couple ways. I mean, like, he's not going to stay in these plastic containers. His ashes are meant to be spread.
They're not meant to be in here.
Well, they're in here because I kind of wanted to introduce him to, the fans, the Anchor Bay podcast fans of the Plank, because, he was a friend of mine. And I also wanted to share the story that I don't really. So I was his executor. He made me his executor. He did not know he was dying, and then he did die, which is weird. He's like, I think I have cancer. Something's going on with my stomach. I have no family. My son is in jail. He came from a dysfunctional situation, and him and I became fast friends. And it was actually his birthday, August 19th, a few days ago. Well, depending on when this airs, a few months ago, last month. So I basically was his executor, and then he didn't, and then he found out he was fine. And I was like, great. And then like a year later, he did die. But in his will, he had said that my ashes are to be spread in a location that I told Josh Wagner.
What was the location?
I don't remember.
No,
It was not clear. No. It was not clear. How hard is it to just put where you told where you want your fucking ashes to be spread?
So he's
anyway,
just at our podcast set.
Yeah. So, I know it's in Arizona because he was Basque. He was Basque Native American. It's at a Basque Native American reservation in Arizona, probably near Tucson. I know some of it. He wants to go up to Sturtevant Falls. I know some of them spread at Sturtevant Falls.
Wait, so he put in his will?
Yeah.
Josh will know.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I'll show it to you.
What the fuck?
I'll show it to you. I've told Tom. And so, yeah, I feel kind of shitty that I don't know. But again, just like, recap something like that.
That's so
really?
weird.
Anyway.
Wow. Well, we'll see how long he's a part of our set.
Hey, maybe we'll shoot an episode where I go and spread his ashes.
I don't hate that he's here.
He was a lovely person.
No doubt. No doubt about his character.
You can
I'm
tell.
sure you had a lovely friendship and that he's a great guy. I've never seen ashes before, so crazy to have him just right here at work.
you think they're ashy, but they're not.
What do you mean? Never mind.
They're kind of like cat litter.
I don't have a cat.
Do you know what cat litter is?
I know what it is, and I've never touched it.
Have you ever?
No.
Do you want?
No.
Just thought I'd ask.
I'm okay. I really want to introduce our guest today.
Okay. Sorry. You do.
Brilliant director. Has done a lot of films with Anchor Bay. We're really excited to have him on today to talk with him and ask him some questions about some past films and see what he's got coming up. So please welcome Chris Sivertson. Welcome.
What's up, guys?
What's up? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Hi,
The
Chris.
ashes, you're right. They look chunky to me.
What?
The ashes.
Do you,
I don't want to
later,
feel them, but
later. Nice to meet you, Chris.
Nice to meet you guys too.
I've been watching your stuff for a while. I've known Tom. Tom and I go way back, like 20 plus years. So
take a drink. You mentioned Tom.
We don't have to drink. The people watching have to drink.
The audience has to take.
So I remember when he introduced me to The Lost.
Yeah.
So
Your first film.
Yeah.
Anchor Bay distributed?
Yeah, they distributed it, which was like they were my favorite distribution company. So it was, you know,
and they are again.
yeah.
Yeah,
so
they
it was,
still are.
yeah. So yeah, it was awesome because I had like a huge collection of Anchor Bay stuff, and so
Really?
Yeah.
What were your favorite Anchor Bay films?
well, I really liked, you know, started with like Argento stuff. That like before that I could only see on like degraded VHS rips from Laserdiscs.
Cool.
You know, like Tenebrae and Phenomena and stuff like that. But then they'd also, in addition to horror, like they put out like really cool stuff by like Herzog. They even did like at least I think they did Minnie and Moskowitz. You know, the Cassavetes movie. I randomly bought Pusher, Nicholas Refn's first movie, just because Anchor Bay put it out. I had no
cool.
idea what it was, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Weren't there 3 of those?
Yeah, there was the trilogy.
Yeah, there's a trilogy.
Yeah,
I think I saw the first one at Sundance, I want to say.
Yes, I have no idea like how that ended up at Anchor Bay, but they were just put out like it was such a weird like very specifically curated collection that it felt like. So yeah, I was just a big fan. So it just worked out perfectly
Did you
that
reach
the
out
loss ended up there.
To them?
I
Because you were such a big fan?
I met Mark Ward at some point shortly before we premiered at South by Southwest, and that's where Anchor Bay. That's where Mark Ward at the time saw it. I don't think Tom was there. I think I met Tom a little bit later at a convention.
Cool.
But yeah, so I met them there, and then yeah, we just made a deal and yeah, got it out there.
And The Lost was your first film. How old were you when you made that?
I was 29.
Did they give you an advance or anything?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
That's cool.
That's
Cool, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of not a lot of people, I don't know how much it was, but I mean, that's anything, that you're like, I'm a filmmaker. I got paid I got money. I made this movie.
Pretty hefty first movie, too.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours, horror, really great acting. Yeah, I really liked the script. But it came about because it was a book.
Yeah, it was based on a book by an author named Jack Ketchum, who's no longer with us, but he was a great guy, and like he had a bunch of awesome books that are just like for the most part like really like a lot of like reality based like hardcore kind of true crime horror stuff. I guess
Capote, like in Cold Blood or something.
In Cold Blood was definitely like a big influence on The Lost, and even like the look of Robert Blake's character in that movie. And he's a little dude, like in the movie. The movie's about a guy who's obviously has insecurity issues because he's small. So he wears boots that he stuffs with crushed beer cans to make himself taller, but it also makes him walk weird, and he's always lying about how he got this, that he got shot in the legs and all this stuff. And that's all based on a real guy, this guy Charles Schmid, who was somewhat of a serial killer in Arizona in the 60s. And he wore like pancake makeup, kind of like Elvis, trying to look like Elvis, and he had a big fake mole. Just a total
Wait,
weird
that mole was
madman.
fake?
What's
in
that?
the pictures? Because we looked at pictures of him. That's a fake mole?
Yeah, well, there's some pictures of him where it's like, oh, it's ridiculously fake, and then in some it looks real. So in the movie, like as Ray is kind of breaking down, his mole gets bigger basically that he paints on as he's kind of like losing control.
Fuck, you guys don't know each other, do you? Hello? Sally, Jennifer, Sally. Now get in the car, Jen, before I kill your fucking ass in front of the neighbors.
But yeah, to get back to your question, yeah, it was based on a novel, and right around the same time, Anchor Bay released another movie based on a Jack Ketchum novel called The Girl Next Door.
Oh.
That was also really kind of a brutal movie, also based on a true story. And at one point they did like a 2-pack of DVDs of both of our movies.
Wow.
What drew you to that book or that
The book was
story?
it totally blew me away. Just the characters were so good. Obviously you have like the Ray Pye. It's kind of told through the point of view of the bad guy in a way. But then you have like his victims, and all of the characters seemed like really well drawn to me. Yeah, like the different girls in his life and how each of them has like a different view on him. Yeah. And then the cop trying to get him, two cops actually. It was Michael Bowen and Ed Lauder. And because it's basically like, you see right at the beginning of the movie that this guy commits murder, and then everyone knows that he did it, but they just couldn't get him for it. And so it's kind of like a ticking time bomb. You're just waiting for him to explode.
Like American Psycho, like we were talking about earlier, like American Psycho, kind of like it, where it's
when he's like in the mirror and like I don't know, like 50 minutes in or something, after he just like yells at his girlfriend when they're in bed together, and then he has that like whole like mirror moment.
Right, he makes himself feel better by making himself pretty.
Yeah. I was like, oh, love that.
How much of it did you pull from like the book, and how much of it just was inspired by you or Mark or anybody on set, like
Well, it's a long book. It's it's a pretty long movie too. But it's the basic story is in the book, but also the book took place in the 60s. I changed it to kind of like an indeterminate time period. Right. There's no like cell phones or anything. Like he kind of looks like a 60s greaser.
Right.
And he drives an old car. The cops drive old cars. There's like rotary phones and stuff in it. So I wanted it to feel like it's like in this like lost little town. Yeah. That's kind of untouched by time, which there are still actually even now. Some small towns around America where it feels like you're in a different time.
Ferndale, California, where they filmed Salem's Lot, the movie, and
the new one or the old one?
The old one. The
Where's
one
Ferndale?
It's like it's on the coast, Northern California.
Okay.
Just south of like Eureka. And I went there specifically because I love that movie and that town above Graveyard. But that town is like, I swear to God, there were kids outside of like an ice cream shop, like on their bicycles. Like,
that's rad, yeah.
Like eating ice cream. I'm like, what? Where am I?
Yeah, Salem's Lot's awesome.
So
how do you feel about The Lost now, like looking back at your first film?
Well, it's funny because I tend not to I like to just keep moving forward and stuff. But we recently, the rights came back to me, and so I got to go and rescan the original 35 millimeter negative and redo the color and everything, and put out a new Blu-ray of it through Ronin Flicks. And that process was I like the movie. It's always weird to see something that you make, but after time away from it, like it's endearing to me, almost like a kid or something,
Yeah, that's what I found is that some directors are like, I never want to watch my first movie I ever made ever again. I can't. And then some people are like, it's nostalgic. I love it. Like it's a first kid and it's fun.
Is it better like the more distance between it? Like, do you see it? You're not as picky about certain shots, or you're not as like finicky. You're just not as like critical of.
Yeah, it's and even more than that. Like now, some of the flaws I actually kind of like.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like it's like handmade and like endearing. Yeah. In a way, because it's like you make the movie, and then we did like a pretty long festival run with it. And so I made myself like watch that because I think it's really informative to watch your movie with audiences.
Right.
And the last 20 minutes of the movie are like super chaotic and violent. And that was the most fun at festivals because it was like, it just, it really kind of electrified. But during the festival run, I definitely was getting bored with like the middle of the movie because as my first movie, it's the longest movie I've made. It's 2 hours long, which is really long for a first movie. I actually wanted to make it even longer. There was a bunch of scenes that I cut out.
Well, you said it is a long book, so.
Yeah. But so in the festival circuit, I was like, like the middle part, I was like, okay, I could feel it starting to drag. I was like looking forward to the end.
Could you feel the audience's energy like dropping a little bit in the middle?
In certain places, but I tried to put like a lot of weird humor in it and stuff. So it's like kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. But now with some time, I think definitely just all the stuff that kind of bugged me about it, I just kind of like now.
So you went so you finished The Lost, and then was your next job I Know Who Killed Me?
Yeah.
Okay. And that is the only thing that Jeff Hammond is credited for writing ever. How did you get connected with him?
Well, that the script came to me just through my agent at the time, and it was I was really excited because the producer was Frank Mancuso Jr., who produced the Friday the 13th sequels and April Fool's Day and Ronin and Species and just all this stuff that I really loved. So I really prepared for the meeting. And just went in there and got along really good with him. And then it just kind of all happened super quickly. Frank really liked The Lost. And then we quickly got Lindsay Lohan attached to it. And then we were just shooting it really fast.
Which, huge to get Lindsay Lohan. She was 21. This was the prime of her career. She had just come off of Mean Girls had already happened, and Freaky Friday had already happened. Did you find yourself noticing a difference in directing a huge star than you would just a normal no name person in another indie film?
Yeah, well, I mean, she was just so good because I find it with other people who started as child actors. That all actors are different, and I like directing all different types of actors. But people who have been on set since they were kids, a lot of times just want really simple, specific stuff, not wanting to get into too much psychology and thinking around too much stuff, which can which especially when you're tight on time and stuff could be great. And little adjustments she could make just so quick and turn on the emotion on and off so quick.
So she's not what's my motivation? What's what's my character?
Yeah, it's let's do it.
I love that.
That's,
I love actors
let's jump into it. Let's do it, and then and then we can make adjustments.
And you said that's more that happens with child actors?
Well, I think because I've done some stuff with kids, and with kids you're just going to confuse them if you tell them if you start talking about too much stuff. So you almost want to just for each take one idea in their mind. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
Otherwise, it's just you're going to confuse them, and then you're going to get kind of a neither here nor there. It's going to be something in between. You know.
And she has a lot of experience playing two different people. Did you find that was easier to direct than you expected?
Yeah, totally. Because she had the whole twin thing with Parent Trap,
Freaky Friday,
and then because in Parent Trap, she was a little kid, speaking French and stuff.
Yeah, and then in Freaky Friday, she had to pretend to be Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
that's
and
so funny.
Yeah, and she's also really good at comedy and stuff.
Yeah. Did she go to dance lessons or have a choreographer for those?
She
club
did,
scenes?
yeah, and it was
because I was wondering if you were just go for it.
No, she went to she was doing pole dancing lessons and stuff, and the paparazzi was always following.
Yeah, because I was gonna say this was about the time when the drugs and all of that kind of took over. No,
well, and when the whole media landscape was just shaming all of these young women like her,
Britney.
Waiting for them to crash and burn.
Yeah, and following them around all the time.
Yeah, this was 2007. She was only 21. This was prime horrible paparazzi. Britney shaved her head the next year.
Oh, really? Didn't Lindsay Lohan get in trouble while you were shooting, or?
Yeah, she had some stuff DUI and whatnot.
While you're shooting. And this is your second movie, and
oh my God! Did that cause just so much more added stress? Than
but
this is your second movie. You have this
star,
but also, was she professional? It sounds like she was professional. It's not.
Yeah, I loved her.
Show up to work, or is she in jail?
We got along. We got along really well, and I loved her. And I just, she was surrounded by all these leeches. Really, there were everyone just wanted something from her. And there were delays and stuff in the shooting schedule, but to me, going from The Lost, which was made for about $1 million, to I Know Who Killed Me, which was like $12 million. Like, to me, that might as well have been like $100 million.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
we had like
totally.
techno cranes and all this stuff.
Whoa.
We were building sets. So I was just so stoked to be playing in that world,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
that it's like, okay, like, and also I was finally getting paid. Like, I went into debt making The Lost.
Well,
and
that's
now
a big
I got
budget.
to pay my debt off, you
That's
know.
cool.
I basically broke even.
So
Yeah.
were you kind of secretly thinking, there's pressure on me to direct this movie, but there's also kind of like pressure for Lindsay Lohan to not
Fuck up.
implode
Yeah.
or do something like if something happened with the budget, you know, not necessarily be you as a second time director's fault. You know, it could be like other stuff,
Yeah,
like
the difficult
the attention,
actor.
difficult actor, some personal stuff going on. Like for me, it'd be like might in a subconscious or conscious way, like take a little pressure off as a filmmaker. Like
I wasn't, but at the time though, I was so focused just on the movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I think it helped me that I had no awareness
okay,
of, at the time, yeah, I also wasn't even really thinking about how the movie would be perceived. Like,
Yeah.
I was just, you know, because if I think I had been, then I think the movie would have been much less weird. I kind of just like really was like in a cocoon, like, because the script was really weird and cool. And Jeff, I think, is a really good writer. He actually sold another script after that I think that never got made. But because I know he, you know, because the movie came out and it was hated, and that was really hard on Jeff.
I think
Like
it's
to
before
get
its time. I
to
think it
get
happened like a
more.
Jennifer body, like before its time, because that bombed too when it came out, and now people love it.
yeah, it's like a
so-
cult classic.
yeah, it
I
has an
think.
audience now, but yeah, like
Because if you look
I
up
was
Lindsay
yeah.
Lohan on IMDb, it says like known for Freaky Friday, Mean Girls, I Know Who Killed Me, and I'm like slay. How did you approach the visual style of the film with all like the reds and the blues? Like, what were you trying to achieve with that?
Well, I also
What were you
in
hoping
the
to do?
Lost, I started a thing that you know, because there was 3 main girls in Ray's life, and I was just always into primary colors, so I just assigned each of those characters a color, a primary color. It was blue, you know, yellow, and red, and then that I liked playing with that. It was just kind of like, you know, what the kind of colors they would be surrounded by to differentiate them and their personalities and also their wardrobe and whatnot. And then so with, you know, with the I Know Who Killed Me script, there was a lot of color in the script itself.
Are the blue roses in the script?
The blue roses are in the script.
Okay, so you're like, we're doing blue.
Yeah, which I was really excited about because that's like a Twin Peaks thing.
You like blue, and you like David Lynch.
Yeah,
Yeah, you like
yeah,
Velvet.
for sure.
You love Blue Velvet. You love yeah.
Yeah, and Twin Peaks, they have the Blue Rose mysteries, which are like these unknowable mysteries. And so it was like duality, you know, she plays 2 characters in it, so it just seemed natural that one would be blue and one would be red.
Yeah.
And then we just like went really crazy with it. Again, like being kind of in a cocoon and not worrying about like going too far with it.
Yeah.
Just like I just embraced the weirdness of it all and kind of
Yeah.
really pushed it. And we had a really good DP, John Leonetti. And then we pushed the colors a lot in post as well.
How hard was it to source those blue torture tools? Because they look 3D printed, but I didn't think we had 3D printing technology in 2006.
We
when this was
didn't. No, we
filmed.
had a really good production designer who just made those.
Made them?
Yeah, and he made the basement. That's all a set. Lindsay's room is a set. So we got to design it specifically for like certain shots and everything. But yeah, the production designer Jerry Fleming was just kind of a genius, and you know, we did a bunch of different prototypes of the tools.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he actually made them. He would make some, bring them to me, and we would like, you know, talk about changes and stuff, and he would go make them again. But I just liked that idea of like this weird serial killer that he's like a Renaissance man, you know, he's making his own ornately crafted blue
Torture
glass
tools.
Yeah.
torture tools.
Yeah.
You know, and keeping the victim alive, and so there's some stuff now, like, because that's another one that I just revisited. They showed it at the Cinematheque like a year ago.
Oh, really?
And I hadn't seen it for a long time, and I had forgotten like how crazy like the dry. There's like a dry ice scene where he's pulling her flesh off of her hand,
Yeah.
and I can't believe they let me make that as gory as it is.
Yeah, it's
like it's
it's a lot.
It's just all of a sudden it's just like like a Fulci Italian horror gore moment in this.
Yeah.
And that movie came out in the summer.
Yeah.
It was a studio summer movie the same day as the Simpsons movie came out.
Oh shit!
Shut.
Hey, it's good double feature right there. Well, it makes sense with the color because you like Argento and Fulci and stuff like that. So like your use of colors is the vividness.
Yeah, and I like I love giallos, and the lack of adherence to logic that those filmmakers have,
right?
And just the dreamlike nature of
it's more European style. But, sometimes we tend to over here in the States we're just like does it translate? It's kind of like does comedy translate overseas for what's funny here?
Yeah.
I noticed. I mean, you and Lucky McKee have a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So
since we were teenagers.
Wow. Okay. Did you grow up together?
No, we met first day of film school at USC.
So you went to USC.
Yeah.
And you're from?
I was born in Virginia, but grew up in like New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Bay Area, California.
So you and Lucky, like, your careers are both kind of like you just collaborate on a lot of each other's.
Yeah.
things?
So actually, before The Lost, we made a shot on video feature. Right after film school called All Cheerleaders Die.
Right, right.
That we're actually about to finally release. We ended up remaking it like 10 years ago. But the original version of it, which we made for like $10,000 in Calaveras County, he's from like the sticks of Northern California.
Okay.
Really beautiful land, Calaveras County. So his dad had a cool piece of property up there, and that's where we shot.
Whose idea was...
cheerleader zombie movie.
Whose idea was it? Was it like collaborative?
It was a collaborative thing. Yeah, there was these, because it's like at the time anyway. It's so different now, but at the time then you come out of film school, and it's like okay, you could like PA on like low budget film sets and kind of like work your way up. You can try to write. You could try to get in like an assisting editing, and I was doing like all of these things, but we were like we just wanted to like make a movie. And there was these low budget movies being made at the time that were mostly like TNA, like softcore movies from this company. Alternative Cinema was a magazine that they had. I'm blanking on the name of the company right now. EI. But they put out like a bunch of movies. Do you guys know Misty Monday? She's in The Lost.
Oh, who is she in The Lost?
She's the naked lady in the beginning.
Love.
Yeah.
Great.
So she's awesome.
She did a great job.
Yeah, she's awesome. So she came from this kind of softcore world where they were making like movies that were like, like a vampire movie, but it like a lot of it is like softcore, like cavorting around.
Love.
And so we were like, there's a whole market for this. We weren't really into doing like the softcore part, but we were like, maybe we could just do like a horror movie that's kind of sexy,
right?
And put it through one of these distributors. So we made the movie. We ended up not getting it released, which was good because we ended up owning the rights and remaking it later. And now we're gonna finally have a Blu-ray of it. But yeah, and then I was one of the editors on his first movie, May.
Yeah, I've seen May.
After May, he did a movie called The Woods, which is a really cool horror movie. Also kind of like a giallo in some ways, kind of like Suspiria. But so he got a little bit of a paycheck, and so he's the one that put up the money to option the Lost, the book for me. And so then, we eventually got it made.
Cool. Did you guys hit it off right in school or what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like right away. Just had we were just both kind of crazy, tons of energy.
Good.
We'd like run everywhere for some reason. Like, I don't know. It's weird, being an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
So cute. I just picture you guys holding hands skipping down the street, which is not what happened, but is the image I have in my mind, which is adorable.
Yeah, we just had a lot of crazy energy, and we were immediately started making just weird movies to like make our friends laugh. In addition to like our film school movies,
right?
That's so fun.
We were making like really, weird comedies.
Because you just had all of USC's gear at your disposal, right?
Yeah, and just a lot of energy and like, let's try stuff.
But that's the thing that I want to encourage film students to do now, because when I was at Michigan, like we were all just focused on you know, getting our assignments done and just turning in everything and making sure that like our actual, you know, school assigned films or whatever were getting made, and no one was focusing on their own stuff to have their portfolio as soon as they leave.
Yeah.
And I think that more kids need to take advantage and like understand like the money and the gear that you have at these schools like Michigan and USC and all this stuff. You're not going to have, like, unless you have daddy's money, like, it's just not this easy and accessible. So, take
and all your
advantage of
friends
it.
there to work on it with you.
Yeah,
you
to be
know?
like, hey, can you hold this boom so I don't have to pay $1,000 to this guy for this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that film students don't realize that the way to kind of accelerate your career once you graduate, instead of having this like lull, which a lot of my friends and I are experiencing now, of just like, okay, we have to like make our films and prove ourselves and like pay our dues and all this stuff, when it's like, we should have done this while we were in school and had the money and like the gear and all of that. So yeah. But it's great that you were smart enough to take advantage of it, and you and Lucky were like, we got to make
Lucky.
shit. Huh?
Just kidding.
Yeah.
You and Lucky were lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think USC is definitely.
The best.
Yeah, I know USC. It's like, I'm sure you know a lot of people that went there that were talented, and you're like, what happened to that dude? What happened to her?
Yeah.
Or what happened to, and they just kind of changed, or just things just didn't work out. Like, you don't, just because you go to USC doesn't mean you're automatically gonna be this big filmmaker.
Oh yeah,
but
one of our professors literally came in the room and was like, 2 of you will make it. And we were like, telling a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds like, you're about to go through 4 years and only 2 of you will make it. We're just like,
then you got to redefine make it.
yeah, that's true.
What do you mean make it?
Like, get hired.
Well, I want to know whose decision it was to put the Melvins song in the strip club.
I chose all the songs.
Hell yeah.
So the Melvins is my favorite band.
Okay, nice.
History of Bad Men, I think, was the song.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there was another song that I think it was the scene before.
Okay, then it's probably
It's like
this band Out HUD.
Yeah, Out HUD. That.
Who I also have a song of theirs in The Lost.
Okay, yeah, that song was awesome.
Yeah, that's
And really
music,
good like song for that scene.
Yeah, so when we were editing I Know Who Killed Me, work all day with the editor, and then I would go home at night and take the hard drive home, and I would just try out different songs to different scenes, and that's how I spent my nights.
That's got to be cool.
That is cool.
When you have a budget,
Yeah,
like $12 million, you're not sitting there and see, like when I make a movie or something, I'm like, I'm gonna put this temp score in, but we're not gonna get the rights for this song.
Yeah.
But in your case, you're like, we'll probably get the, like, I don't know what they allow you to spend on music at the end of a movie, because it's a creative thing.
It's a huge. It's so important to me. So like
Yeah.
for The Lost, there's like 20 something songs, and we paid like I think it was $500 each, and then that has to be split between whoever owns the publishing and whoever owns the master. But we got a great soundtrack, and so then with I Know Who Killed Me, it was like, okay, cool. I can give some artists that I like some money.
Nice.
Like the Melvins, they got $7,500 for that, which
Because nobody knows who they are,
Yeah, so that was like the top limit. So it was like I think 7,500 a song.
Do you know how
is what
much
I
you
could
spent on songs in total?
Well, I think I Know Who Killed Me. I think there's just like 8 songs, and I think everybody got between $5,000 and $7.5K.
That's nice.
Joel McNeely, who did the original score, he did a great job too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then we like reinterpreted like some Chopin pieces, because there's this whole thing with the killer being a crazy piano teacher. So there's all this like weird piano motifs and this version of a Chopin song that keeps like recurring throughout the movie.
So you like to think about everything.
But that was fun, and the guy that mixed it is great, Ron Ing, who did Mulholland Drive.
Angelo Badalamenti too.
Oh yeah, so good.
I loved it. I could talk with Lynch with you all day.
I know. I want to talk about Monstrous though, because I know.
Monstrous
I
is
loved
right here.
it. It's also
thanks.
right here.
Is this even in
That has some
anybody's
good
shop?
some good songs in it too.
It
We got like Buddy
does.
Holly and stuff in there.
And this is
Buddy Holly by Weezer? I'm just kidding.
Is this technically Umbrellic?
This is Umbrellic,
It's
Yep.
Umbrellic.
which is
Anchor Bay.
Anchor Bay's other production, Tom Zambek and Brian Katz.
Right, so it's like coming
their
full
baby.
circle.
Yeah, it's their production company, so these guys are making moves in the industry.
Yeah.
You ready, Freddie?
Hello there, young lady.
Good afternoon.
Oh, what is this place?
It's your new home. Isn't it wonderful?
Hello?
I miss you. I miss my son.
Well, you better get used to it because you'll never see either one of us ever again.
Mom, there's a monster outside my window.
I'm wondering if maybe I should go back on medication. St. Mary's Church. I think I have a demon in the house.
So this was kind of like a dream come true to work with Christina Ricci.
Yeah.
Because it was like I felt so lucky to make a movie with Lindsay Lohan, and then it's like, oh, like I felt the same way, but Christina is an icon.
Amazing.
She's incredible, and similar to Lindsay, she was also a child actor.
Yeah, I love
and
Penelope.
she's
That was like my
just
favorite
such a
movie.
pro. Oh, it's awesome.
Penelope was like one of my favorite movies growing up, and I love her because of that movie.
Yeah, and I'm a big
Well,
fan
yeah,
of
duh.
Sleepy
Buffalo
Hollow.
66.
Sleepy Hollow's so good.
Sleepy Hollow is insane. It's probably my favorite Tim Burton movie.
Yeah,
It's
Sleepy
just,
Oh
it's
my
just so
god!
gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, a huge Christina Ricci fan. She's
Black
incredible.
Snake Moan. Have you guys seen that?
Oh yeah.
No.
With Samuel
Oh, you got to
Jackson.
see that. It's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
he
watch that
keeps her-
tonight.
he keeps her chained up.
Yeah, he's trying to civilize her.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh my god, I have to watch that tonight.
It's so good.
And it's in like the
Wow.
South, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's like all sweaty and humid and just like dirty South.
So how did you come? How did you and Carol get connected on that?
That one, the script came to me, and in that, so that was an original script that Carol wrote, and they had already gotten Christina attached. So in that one, she was already attached
awesome.
when I came to it.
You were like,
And then, yeah, luckily we hit it off, and so yeah, and that was tough because it was a pretty low budget, but you know, it's a period piece,
yeah.
with the creature and stuff. So it was also in the middle of COVID.
Oh yeah.
So that one was another, very tough production.
What was that budget?
It ended up almost being $1 million.
Wow.
It was supposed to be less. We had all the kinds of
I can't believe
overages from like false positive COVID tests and whatnot getting
Oh
shut
my
down.
God.
Yeah, that'll
I mean, well, with what you did, I can't believe that was only $1 million.
Yeah, I really called in a lot of favors from friends.
How did you
From
find
Tom
that
and
the
Brian.
perfect version of the house?
The house, we got lucky there. So that house is a standing set.
Really?
You've seen it in stuff before, like it's in
Probably.
Annabelle 3.
Haven't
it's-
seen that.
there's
one.
a third Annabelle.
And it's
Yeah,
in
wow.
commercials and stuff. It's basically out in Simi Valley. And it's also in that HBO show about like robot cowboys or whatever.
Westworld.
Oh,
Yeah.
Westworld.
Yeah,
Love.
I haven't seen the show. I just
Oh my
know
God,
the
it's
old,
good.
Yeah,
the old
Sir Anthony
movie.
Hopkins, so good in it.
But it's a standing set, so it's only the upstairs is just a shell,
Oh.
and it's
Did you
on a
use the
hillside.
interior?
What's that?
Did you use the interior?
Yeah, for the first floor.
Yeah.
So because it's a standing set, you can do whatever you want with it, which is cool. So then once you go upstairs, then you're in a different house in
Yeah.
Altadena. But now Disney owns it, I think.
Wow.
They own that. It's a whole, like, basically a ranch.
Yeah. And was there a day where you were like, I don't know if we're going to be able to shoot this in the 50s? Like,
There was a lot of days where, and just arguing with not really arguing, but just trying to convince the producers of, that certain money needs to be spent on certain things. Which they agreed with, but they just had, to actually make it happen.
Yeah.
So it's not like, when I mean argument, it's just, everyone's always trying to make the best movie. I mean, not on every movie, but on this one, everyone was just trying to make the best movie.
yeah.
But the costumes my costume designer Morgan DeGroff just made them.
Really?
For hardly anything.
Pink dress with a little. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so that was taken care of, and then props and stuff. Mad Men shot for so long around here that for that specific era, the prop houses and everything are pretty well stocked on 50s stuff.
Oh, cool.
So we just had to make deals with them and stuff, but it was really like the actual house set, like that linoleum floor and everything that the production designer had to pull off. That stuff was really expensive, and she just did an amazing job. So it's like I had these artists around me that were working way below their rates, but I was just please, help me out.
What was the biggest fight you had to put up?
It might have been for that house.
Really?
Yeah, because that house is not cheap. That house has been used in plenty of other things, but the whole movie takes place there.
Yeah.
So it was because whatever house we were going to have to spend money to do the inside, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But the outside, right, of it, just surrounded by those hills, and just the house up on the hill, it's so isolated. So I think that was the biggest one, where it's I kept having to just insist, no, we have to. Yeah. This is the place that we have to somehow make a deal with these people.
Yeah. Well, it's just so cool. I mean, I love the twist at the end. I love the whole idea of she's gone through so much trauma.
No spoilers. No spoilers. It's kind of a new movie. I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not, but
pause here, go watch it, come back.
Yeah.
And how the idea of her she's gone through so much trauma that the idea of her perfect family and all this stuff is so gone that going to the 50s of this idyllic picture perfect American dream. I just loved it so much. And I do have one question. The idea of the kids, her watching the kids running away from her son. What would do we think that they just were scared of some energy? If he wasn't actually there.
Well, I'll just get into spoilers here. So it's really that's the connection. That was how I interpreted the script. There's definitely different ways that it could have.
Yeah, for sure. Which is why I like the script so much, because there were so many different ways of interpreting it and stuff, and ways that it could go. And
yeah, I encourage people to see. I mean, for me, the vibe, that time, it was a little bit of I want to say Bates Motel, but I want to also say Psycho, because the lake, when he in Psycho, when Norman Bates drowned, he puts the car in that creek or that pond, pond.
It doesn't sink all the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Great. And then just the relationship and isolated, like Bates Motel, the show.
A mother and son.
You're
son.
right.
Yeah.
And then also
the Psycho-esque.
Yeah, and in the time period also. But shout out to the VFX, because those can take you out if they're not done correctly in a movie like that.
Yeah, and by that point we had zero money.
Oh, wow.
The VFX guy just again, it was just a favor.
You could
we were tapped out.
Oh my god. In post everyone's
exactly,
tapped out in post, So it's there's no money, but for me it was they weren't practical, but it didn't take you out of it. It looked scary. It was scary, and it was the way the effects move and stuff like that had a slime, a real kind of feel. So I think it really added to the, lifted the movie up a little bit, because they're few and far in between. So in a movie like that, when it's when it isn't as frequent, you want it to have an impact, which I thought it succeeded in.
yeah.
No, that's good to hear. And it's a shape-shifting creature, so in each sequence it kind of has a new look. So that was tricky to track and make sure we were doing it right,
Yeah. You write a lot of scripts too that you don't direct.
Yeah.
Even though your first two, I mean, they were you didn't write I Know Who Killed Me. You didn't, and you adapted Lost, but so you write scripts that you don't direct also, kind of like.
Some of it is gigs, and some of it is stuff, my own original stuff that I'm just trying to get out there.
Yeah.
But what I like about that is that since I do direct, when I write something, like I know it's not mine if I'm not directing it.
Right.
And they can do whatever the hell they want with it, and I'll help them because I want to help the director turn it into whatever the director wants it to be.
So is it harder? Is it harder having a director if it's a spec script, like something that you wrote 10 years ago, but you're still attached to that? You give. I mean, as opposed to something you're hired to write? Is there a difference?
No, it's not harder. It's like once I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna try to direct this thing, then it's almost like have like a clinical view of it. Not that I don't like it, and I want to put it to be as good as possible. But yeah, in movie making, yeah, it's definitely a director's medium.
What
as opposed to TV, which is more of a writer's medium.
Okay. What script? If you have an answer for this, what script was adapted of yours that you're like, I wish I would have directed that, or they fucked it up? I mean, not fucked it, you know what I'm saying, but like, oh, I wish I would have, I wish I would have done that one.
I don't think there really is one. There's more stuff like the stuff like that is like stuff that just hasn't gotten made. Okay. Where it's like, oh man, like I thought that one was like would have been really good, and then it just gets stuck in like development hell, or or just never happens. And then I don't own the rights to it. I was like, oh yeah, that'd be nice if that one came back to me.
That's heartbreaking. People don't understand that kind of heartbreak. Like you work something, it's really good. Everyone.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I've written that's just never gotten made.
Because you have a personal attachment to these scripts. You spend 5, 6 months, a year, 2 years with them, and then there's the hope, right? And then there's the hope, and then there's the bullshit. I mean, how easy can you go in and get it? Can you go in and get a budget just like that these days? I mean, it's always struggle.
It's always tough. Yeah.
No matter what, unless you're maybe 5 directors, probably.
Yeah. And it's so much of it is dependent on like if you have like a lead attached that means something to the buyers, then that's the main thing. But
then sometimes you get your money and then the lead's like, this person doesn't mean anything so much right now.
Yeah,
like the
or
stock.
Like try less in like their acting or whatever because they're like it's so low like stakes. I don't really care.
Well, do actors do that, Jillian?
I don't know. I don't.
You're an actor. I know.
Give
you
me jobs.
She's
hire me. I will do well.
She's great. I don't know if you heard. She's our actress from Turning Point, the movie. I'm sure Tom.
They hired me right out of school.
Okay,
awesome. My showcase was posted the day before Tom looked up the Michigan showcase. So if he had looked up like 2 days before, he would have found a different class and he wouldn't have hired me.
Yeah.
But they asked me to audition, and then I got a call the next day, and they called me.
Yeah.
And,
is that movie finished?
Yeah. We finished it during COVID.
It. It's buried. But
it hasn't been released yet, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's I'm sure that's those situations too. I mean, do you have any projects that took a lot longer than you wanted to like get out there or to get released, or for whatever reason that you finish it and it just they hold on to it? I mean,
yeah. Well, actually, The Lost, it took a while for it to come out because we were dicking around with other distributors who had offers on the table.
Well, you were trying to get those film festival laurels. Too.
Yeah. Yeah, the film festival thing, that helped. That it did actually help.
What was your favorite film festival for that one?
Well, probably, I mean, South by was really fun because it was the premiere, but also Sitges in Spain.
Okay,
is pretty awesome.
Did you go to all of them? Did you have a budget to go?
I didn't go to all of them, but they back then it's kind of changed a little bit. But back then, especially the international film festivals had much bigger budgets, so they'd fly me out, put me up, and feed me for a week.
That's so.
And you were like,
that was a lot of fun.
Well, you're like Lucky, man. Come on, let's go. Fly me out to Spain. Come on, let's go.
But like Sitges was a lot of fun because Tarantino was there with Eli had done Hostel.
Okay, yeah.
That was one of its first showings.
Yeah.
And it was I met a lot of just people there that I'm still friends with.
Okay.
And that was just like an exciting time. And that's like a really beautiful coastal town. New Zealand was amazing.
Oh, cool.
Ant Timpson, who's now directing movies, was an amazing host. He was my host at the for the New Zealand Film Festival.
What's he direct? Anything you would have heard? Or
Come to
seen?
Daddy with Elijah Wood.
Okay. Yeah, I know
and
that.
he's got a new one that's in the festival circuit right now called Bookworm,
Okay.
which is Elijah's in again.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, the cool thing about festivals is like, yeah, you immediately become really close to these people that you didn't know like yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very intense and fun. And
It's amazing because you like when you're on the outside, you look at all these people making movies, and you're like, oh man, they're so lucky, man. I just and you're trying to reach out to them, right? And you're trying to see if they can help you, and then you start to get in rooms with them, and everyone needs help. You're like, oh, they didn't. You kind of see it from the inside, and you're like, yeah, I mean, this person that I thought could help me and get me money is now needing help and looking for money.
yeah, everyone's always having to hustle.
What would you be doing if you weren't a filmmaker?
That's a good question. Maybe music.
Okay, do you play?
Yeah, I've dropped it. Well, now I play piano a little bit, but I played guitar and bass for a really long time.
I play bass.
Oh,
She
nice.
plays the bass. She slaps the
But
bass.
I'm
You do a
not
little
great at
slapping.
slapping. Yeah, I've only been playing for like 8 months.
Oh, that's
I have lesson
awesome.
every Saturday. at
She
noon.
just learned what
But-
song? Lithium? No.
Lithium, Nirvana.
That's a great one.
It's a good song. It's fun to play.
Do you ever do any of your scores, John Carpenter style?
No,
No.
no.
Or do you ever come up with something like on the piano and go, hey, to a composer?
I usually no, like I've worked with a lot of great composers. I usually just kind of talk and like kind of let them do their thing.
Okay.
But I always, I just have a deep love for music, like everybody does. But that was like licensing songs, like we were talking about earlier. Like that was, like that's always one of my favorite things to do. Like with Monstrous, I was surprised, like the Buddy Holly songs and stuff, how cheap they were. I thought that was going to be like a no-go.
Yeah.
Because
$100,000.
no, it was. I don't remember what it was. I mean, it was. The producers didn't think it was cheap, but that 50s music to me is so beautiful that
Right.
I thought it would be like out of our reach.
Those little things, like earlier when I said watching that movie, it was just a joy, and it really drew me in. And it's those little details, like the music, the set design, and the colors, and that. Not to shit on like these Netflix movies that are coming out, but like sometimes honestly in the first like couple minutes of a movie when it starts, I'm already out.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're thrown together. The credit sequences, like all of it, you can feel like it's rushed.
Yeah, and it has like a generic look.
It has a generic
Yeah.
kind of thing going.
My friend Wyatt, he put it one way. We came out of a Marvel movie, and I was like, "What did you think?" And he was like, "It just feels like everything else, which is just feels like rubber. It feels like really bright and shiny, but just so fake and like kind of annoying when you like hear it." And I was like, "Wow, that is such a good way of putting most of the media that's out right now. It just feels like rubber. I don't know. It's like not great. It's bright, it's shiny, but it's not great."
Right.
So yeah, interesting. Wow, what are you working on now? What's next?
Now I've just been doing writing work. I have a couple of things. I don't know. Like with directing now, it's interesting. Like early on, it's like there was like this need to like always like trying to like be on set as soon as possible. Now it's like more of like I just writing is my day-to-day thing. And then when I do a movie, I want it to be something. It's got to be something. It takes so long, from whether I'm writing it or not, from pre-production, seeing it through post, and then the release. Like, it's such a big time commitment that I've just really got to love it.
Yeah, you got to be picky.
So-
You got to be selective.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'm not sure what that next project will be, but been busy writing though,
Yeah.
which is always fun.
What's your writing process? Do you have like a time of day? Do you just write when you feel like it, or are you a strict writer? I mean, because you pretty prolific.
Yeah, I'm a
catalog.
pretty like regular schedule, sort of like 9 to 5.
Okay.
Like I'll get my best work done like from when I get up until like lunchtime, and then the afternoon, if depending on how much I've gotten done, or afternoon I'll use for like business stuff, phone calls and that kind of stuff. but I have a pretty regular schedule, so I can, if it's going well, I can get a lot of stuff done before lunch.
Yeah.
Then I feel like I feel good for the day.
Yeah.
If that doesn't go well, then I feel like not good.
Yeah.
Which is not a great way to base your mental well-being on, but that's just how it is.
It's
Yeah, that's tough.
I know.
It feels productive. It felt,
But you're smart. You figure it out. Like even if you, but yeah. But then if you have a bad writing day, you come back and you're like, next day might be. You were like that day was meant for working stuff out, not for moving for page count. It was more for. Sometimes you'll write one page, but it'll be you figured. You read.
Cracked the code.
You crack the code. You move some stuff around.
And it's weird too because sometimes I'll like get some pages done, but I'll feel like, oh, these suck. And then I'll look back on it and they'll be pretty good. And then sometimes the opposite, it'll be like, oh, I feel like I did good. And then I'll look back and I'm like, no, that was not that good,
Yeah.
So I think, with writing, it's just like the simple trick is you just got to keep doing it, know, and not get too into your feelings about anything, but because you can always fix it,
Do you write to music?
Oh yeah.
Score like anything with lyrics or just like
if lyrics, it's got to be stuff I can't really understand,
German,
or like a lot of like a lot of like post rock stuff, like Explosions in the Sky, like that kind of like stuff, like Sigaroos, like
Sigaroos,
like that sort of stuff. I really like M83. There's a lot of them, but yeah, I definitely have to have the music on. But at a certain point, I'm kind of like tuning it out almost. Yeah, it's there, but it's like, it's almost like it's like a buffer between me and the real world or something,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. What else?
I don't know.
Well, first of all, thanks for coming in. You said
thank
you don't do a lot.
So much.
You said you don't do a lot of interviews.
I know. I couldn't find anything about you online. I was like, "Where's this dude from?"
Well, after I Know Who Killed Me, like, because that came out, like, and that was my first like studio movie, and everyone fucking hated it. So like the reaction there, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe like social media and like engaging with this stuff is not really so good for me.
Oh, no, I think it is.
So that, well, I just, because, it was, now with all this distance from it, it's, it's all fine. But at the time, it was just like, it was really like, whoa, like, there's a lot of people that seriously
Strong
dislike this thing. So I should just not, like, engage,
Did you have any indication after watching the cut that was going to be the reception of it?
I was kind of in a bubble. It was like, and like I said, we were just making this weird movie, and it was so fast. Like we wrapped in March, and our release date was July.
Oh gosh!
How long did you shoot for?
Well, it was like a 30-day shoot, but it was over the course. It went from December to March because we had to shut down a couple times. And then we had a lot of effects, so it was just such a sprint that I didn't really have much time to really think about it. So
the reception, the negative reviews were kind of like fucking soul crushing or what?
Yeah, just not even just the reviews, but also just like everyone like we were talking about earlier, the press was being so hard on Lindsay.
Yeah.
It's just so like nasty, like to this young person who is, not hurting anybody. So it's like there was just like a kind of like a meanness about it, or just like that that I, didn't want to engage with really.
Yeah. And this was also like kind of a big role for her going into kind of like edgier, darker stuff rather than just like rom-com-y comedy stuff. Like,
yeah, it was a change of pace for
this
sure.
Could have been
catalyst
a huge,
to her
but this could have been a huge shift in her career, and it's just a shame that it was kind of overlooked by this media frenzy that was going on of just like wanting to tear any woman down, any young woman down in Hollywood.
Exactly.
If they
I have no
could.
problem with people critiquing a movie or even saying that a movie's terrible if they think it's terrible. But there was just, a thing in the culture at the time that was just like particularly nasty to her.
And they probably didn't want to
uncalled
see
for.
her like as a stripper and stuff when it's just like, she's an actor. Like, let her live.
Yeah,
let her grow up.
And she's like smoking the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like stuff that now like you just don't see.
Yeah.
Like even just a cigarette, like an actress smoking a cigarette.
You
in a
had her
movie. It's
smoking
like,
on the bus. I was like, smoking on the bus is crazy.
Those little touches like cracked me up. Like Just she's riding the public bus, like her finger is just like falling off. She's like holding her bloody hand, and she's just like smoking a cigarette, looking like a complete
put it above
badass.
Your heart.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that stuff. I don't know.
So
really amused me.
It's like her downfall came at like whatever society and the media considers her downfall, her pressure to fail, and I Know Who Killed Me were like.
It definitely hurt her.
Yeah. But we don't think about that stuff, you know.
Like even that, like even with all that was going on, it was like I didn't regret the experience at all. You know, it was like,
absolutely not.
That was insane. Like it was an insane life experience, you know.
Yeah, and it was mainly just because of the media and like just putting this kid like in a really tough position. And how old were you when you were directing that?
I was like 31.
Yeah, you're pretty young too. Just being like, what the fuck
Just
is
a couple
happening?
kids.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? You're only 10 years older than her? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Probably just looked like a little sister to you. Just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you feel like a little protective over?
Yeah,
Because you also seem like a technical director, visual. But how do you share a difference between dealing with the actors and dealing with like the DP and the art department? I mean,
yeah, definitely. Like I like to find what way of directing suits each actor, you know, and try to accommodate that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But like I got along great. The whole cast got along great with her and Julia Ormond, who plays her mom.
Oh, I love Legends of Fall. I fell in love with her in Legends.
She was
of Fall.
awesome. Julia was kind of protective of me. She was like really sweet.
Oh, because she's she's been, she's a vet.
And,
Well, that reminds me, like, what was the relationship like between the guy the kid and Christina in Monstrous? Were they close during the process?
yeah, and Christina has like a son like about that age.
Oh my gosh.
And Santino was that kid's name. He was great. So he was like a really funny kid. Like anytime the camera was like not running, he was just cracking up.
Really?
Yeah, he was just like
fantastic.
full of joy and and then he would just turn it on. So, and Christina was like perfect with him. You know, like
I'm just
totally
so
very
cool.
sweet and protective of him.
I'm just glad he wasn't like the kid in the Babadook, which also this movie had some similarities.
There's definitely a lot of similarities.
That kid in the Babadook's just screaming the whole movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, that
but,
was crazy.
So
I think that's like are we like 10-year anniversary there with Babadook?
Wow.
I feel like it's screening again.
Jennifer Kent.
Wow.
Is there anything you want to leave us with? I was going to ask you. Do you have any words for Tom and Brian at Anchor Bay? And you know Tom's history with Anchor Bay, right? Tom used to.
Yeah.
He used to sharpen people's pencils over there. Get 'em
that's why it's so cool.
Load the
to,
printer.
Like, yeah, I just like I was saying earlier, I have such like an affection for Anchor Bay. Because it was like formative for me. Like I discovered so many movies through them, and then having them include my own movie in their cool curated collection has meant a lot. So it's awesome that Anchor Bay is being resurrected.
And I think it's in good hands.
Definitely.
I've already seen the catalog of movies to come, which you guys will be privy to in the following months. And I'm excited. We're all excited for I know they're being very selective. There's a certain kind of image that they are particular in having for the new direction of Anchor Bay, and I've seen them say no to a lot of movies that will find distribution, but just not with Anchor Bay because it just doesn't fit the brand right now.
Yeah,
this is like the rebirth. So delicate stage.
I have one last question. Is there any advice you would leave to up-and-coming filmmakers, especially from coming out of this strike? Like anything that you learned that you would kind of pass along?
One thing I'd say to like anybody, filmmakers, actors, anyone, is to write.
Right.
Because if you can always do that by yourself, and I think anyone can learn how to do it. And if a good piece of material.
Do you think that anyone
maybe
can
not
do it?
anyone. That might be too much. But I think you'd be like if you sit down, like if you have even some sort of regular attempting to do it.
Yeah.
But because the thing is, everything starts with a script, or a pitch. Even if you really think that you can't write, you can think of an idea and think of a pitch, like, you know, like to tell someone, like, you know, you could, like, even just like in a few sentences, like, oh, this is a thing. But I think if you're creating ideas and scripts and content or whatever you want to call it, then that could, not only do you learn, it could actually result in movies or TV shows or whatever it is that you're trying to go for. But you also, by doing it, you learn a lot about every aspect of the movie, you know, of the business, and you can understand everything better.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And everyone knows how to outline. I think outlining, I used to hate outlining. Now I do it obsessively with the script idea. Build an outline, what you want to happen here, and then go find somebody who writes, and you know, maybe
who's
they'll do it for
you. Like, you know.
Yeah,
that's good advice, because a lot of times when people, if they're new to it, they may realize quickly that they don't have an idea for a movie. They have an idea for like a setting for a movie, you know.
Scene.
But or like a character or something. But that's different than actually having, you know, like the story.
Plot.
Right. But I think just trying to do that, and also just trying to watch stuff from not just what's being made now, but having an idea of like the history of movies. What is a movie that you think that you haven't seen something like that in a while? Like make your own version of that. It'll turn into its own thing just naturally as you work on it. And it's also, a lot of the best filmmakers pay homage to like the stuff that they love. You know.
Well, Chris, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
This
thanks
is a
for having me.
pleasure.
This is really cool to come into Anchor Bay.
Yeah, I know you don't do a lot of podcasts,
The
so we
Bay.
appreciate you doing this one.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun.
We'd love to have you back at some point. That'd be great.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thank you.
My camera died, but it's fine. It
So
just
peace
happened.
out.
It's fine.
It's okay.
It was perfect.
Peace out. All right. That's
Yay.
it. That's a wrap, Tom. Nice work, guys. Tom,
On the blackest nights we sail through fog, two voices echo from the salty bog, with tales of movies and actors bold. Host Josh and Jillian, their stories unfold. Hold fast the reel, listen to Jive, the Blank Podcast where legends vibe. From silver screens to haunted dreams, in Josh and Jillian's twisted schemes. Brought to you by Anchor Bay Entertainment. Now here's your hosts, Josh and Jillian. Yeah.